This is episode 213 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dio Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel, represent for America, Peru, Manzano?
Yeah, but I mean, if their day is going like my day, or at least like my last 10 minutes is going, then sorry guys, I guess you guys are gonna tank it this week.
Will America versus America, Hagewood.
North and South. Who America will come out on top?
It's not. And Ryan, return of the rulings, Staniszewski.
Yes, earlier today, word has spread. AMG has the official forum page with X-Wing rules section.
Yes, and that's where I want to start today's discussion. If you have not taken a look, the Atomic Mass Games has launched a forum. We are going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat right now. And if you're watching on YouTube later or listening on your favorite podcast platform of choice, there will be a link in the description. That's all that'll be there. And essentially, what you got there is the startings of a forum. There are 3 different sections. And there's now an X-Wing section. There is a rules reference corrections section. So this supersedes what is currently in the rules reference. They're it's mostly adding words or clarifications just for people to not nitpick at the rules. There's some errata saying like, hey, this card is read this way now, and there's some just adding of timing windows for cards that don't have a timing window, and just also there's useful links, and there's a way for you to actually start a topic, which would be submitting a question. Now, if you submit a question right now, it does need to be approved by a moderator. So essentially what I'm thinking is they're going to look at all the questions, and as they are usable, they will either allow to post them, or they will just take the answer and put it in one of these sections, which is what I honestly think will happen at first. I'm not sure how the whole submitting a topic thing is going to go, but the button is active when you make an account, so we don't know how exactly it's going to work there. But go ahead, take a look. It is official. And they do notate in there that it supersedes everything else. It is the most up to date, and they will notate on there as well. Is they said in several sections that for instance the rules reference, they say these sections will be in here until they actually update the rules reference. Then they delete the ones that they're done with. Essentially, it's a way for the rules committee to actually keep track of what needs to be updated. And one of the things that I noticed going into this, Ryan, who is kind of spearheading the rules?
Well, I mean, so spearheading technically in the AMG side, we have AMG, the names that show up, AMG Plumber, I think it's the one that has posted the most topics. I think we've seen him on stream before. Yeah. He's one of the guys originally from AMG, brought on for the Star Wars projects. And then there's AMG Luke. But the ones more people may be familiar with that are moderators in these forums would be one very own D. Yoon and Chris Mitchell.
Awesome. Yeah, so with that, I am happy to see it's a gold star for AMG to see some community involvement there. Those are leaders in our game, in our community, that are basic. I'm going to call it at the top of what for the game structure is the most important, and that's the rules. There's people there that are in communication with AMG that are going to try to smooth out issues as they come up, which is great. I think it's really important that they have the community engagement there, because the reality is, for us, a lot of us have been involved with X-Wing longer than AMG has even been in existence, right? So there's going to definitely be some new people jumping on the boat there, and it is good to see that connections, those connections starting to be made with the community. Any thoughts, Will or Marcel, on the forum popping up?
I got a lot of questions on some of these rules, but I will have to trust in the moderators and those posting them. Then must have faith.
Marcel?
It's great. I know a lot of people were wanting it and excited for it. I honestly don't care personally because I was never on the original forums. And usually whatever event I was at, if the judge said it, like, okay, like it's no skin off my back. I mean, everybody's playing by the same rules that day, so I don't care. Well, I don't care. I do find it I do find it comforting that they've got a couple people that, like Chris and D, that, and probably a couple other ones out there. I'm pretty sure. I'd be surprised if Filippo or some of the other, Daryl, some of the other judges weren't involved in some way. But I mean, it's great that at least it's people that I recognize. Maybe it was people that I recognized on the old forum too, but I don't know because I was never there. So I'm sure they'll do great.
Yeah, from my understanding, and again, this is like what's not third hand, but like fourth hand. My understanding is that the FFG peeps would definitely talk to the judge Illuminati. You guys have heard that tossed around, but essentially the group of judges, major judges in the game that would judge at the major events around the X-Wing community. And this is now a very visible collaboration, which I just think is really great. D. Yoon out of the United States, Chris Mitchell, I believe, is out of Australia. So it's two different parts of the world as well. It's not just U.S. based, which I think is also important just to show that, hey, like X-Wing really is a worldwide game. And that's awesome. So that's it for there. You go ahead, take a look. We're not going to break down like the exact rulings or anything like that. You guys can read. And there are a couple things that I do find interesting in there, but that's not our focus for today. Our main topic today is we're going to be talking about what does casual play mean. But before we jump into that, by the way, thank you to everybody who participated in the Discord discussion. There was a lot of great posts in there. I'm going to be bringing up some of that information, but I think this is going to be an interesting topic today. And let me be forward here before we actually jump into it. My intent today is not to walk out with any answers, but it's simply to have a discussion and try to kind of navigate through what is, in my mind, a giant gray area, this idea of casual play. But Marcel, we're kicking it over to you. Team USA update. Hit it.
I thought you were kicking it over to me for casual. Okay.
No.
So Team USA update. Yeah. So this week, the group, all the groups finished the second week. So we're starting on the third. Second week, Team USA played against Hungary. Hungary was 1-0 coming into today. They had beaten. What did they beat? They beat Malta week one, and then we were able to pull that off. I think you guys had us going too good, too bad, 3 even last week. Is what you guys did, I believe. But we ended up going 6-1.
Overcoming the odds.
Overcoming the odds. And Carson Ray, once again, just clawing his way back when nobody thought he could. If you haven't seen it, I think I think Barto's Polska X-Wing, I think, is the one that streamed it. Maybe I think that was the one. But it's definitely worth watching. Spoiler alert, skip 10 seconds if you haven't seen it and you plan to. But yeah, he was down 87-0 with like 9 minutes left and was able to come back and win like 100 and something to 87 in the last like 7 or 8 minutes with a 1-hull Lulo again and Wedge also. I mean, not Wedge, and Poe also hanging around. And this week we've got Chile. And I don't think we're gonna break down all the lists like we did in the past. But yeah, so this week we're playing Chile. I don't know if you guys want to rate it towards the end. I don't know. I haven't seen the agenda. I was dealing with technical issues, but
all right, no, we're jumping into it right now. Here's the pairings. I need quick hits on what everything is so that we can we got to see how the odds go. So right now, US is 2-0, right? 2-0 going into this round, which is awesome. And give us these matchups. What do we got here? So the Imperial list, Steve Cotillo is flying the Goran Strikers. What's the Republic list for team? This is Team Chile.
Yeah, Team Chile. And I don't have my regular computer, so I have to go. Okay, so it is. Which one are you starting with?
Republic versus Empire.
All right. So me. Okay. Yeah, so I know that one because I'm playing it. So I am.
You're playing the Imperial list?
Steve's Imperial.
Oh, okay. You said Republic. So
yeah, you're playing against the Republic list. Yes.
Okay.
We should probably start by saying our team.
I did. I'll serve it up again. I did. We'll try. We'll go through it again.
Cut.
No. So first matchup here, we got Steve Cotillo with the Imperial list, the Goran Strikers. What is the Chilean Republic list?
I got that wrong.
I see you in looking at the same thing I am.
Did I get that wrong?
No. This is Victor Roles, and he's flying 3 7B Jedis with Luminara, chopper, and calibrated CLT. This is at 200 versus the our team, Steve's Imperials at 198. So his Shadow Squadron, or whatever they're called, whatever the Black
Squadron Scouts.
Yeah, the I3 Strikers against I3
That's
Jedi.
like big, right? Because not only are they moving second with ailerons, but they're also shooting second with disciplined.
Yeah, that's a big one because if one of them dies, they all take the advantage that same turn. And guess what? Just because everyone's I3 now Goran doubles down as Nash because they're still going to shoot anyway.
Pretty much, yeah.
So you got Goran
and
Nash.
you can't block him because of Goran anyways. So even if you do block him, they get a focus token. So no big deal.
All right, so Lumion 3 Knights. I will tell you, we actually got gameplay from Victor on GSP this weekend, so I got to see him play. Ryan, what do you think of this matchup?
I think because of the bid and the strikers and discipline, I think I got to give it to Steve. It could still be a close matchup, but I think just that bid, the fact of being second player, is a big deal in the I3 versus I3.
I'm in the same boat with you. I'm thinking that Steve has the advantage there. Next, we got Marcel Manzano flying the 3 regen ships. You got Annie, Rick, and Obi-Wan in the Eta-2. Marcel, what is your first order opponent?
My first order opponent is Daniel Rodriguez, and it is a Malrus swarm. It is Malrus with Proust Tradition and 6 Typhos, so a total of 7 arcs. So it's a 7-ship Walrus swarm. Easy.
Hey, don't influence their decisions.
No. You know what? What's funny? The only way he's influenced my decisions because he's played that matchup against me once before.
Really?
With the exact regen list, and I tried out a Malrus swarm in the. If you remember the Kyber Elimination League, me and Marcel got matched up in like the third or fourth round.
That's right.
And I wanted to try out the Malware Swarm just once, and he brought his regen Jedi. He'll be fine. Marcel will win this one. Granted, I am not as a seasoned person of a Malware Swarm player. I don't know if this other person is, but I think
it's 7 arcs is always it's never easy. Just
True, but I think you have a lot of tools to mitigate the arcs. You have a lot of ways to still get mods and make sure that those 2 attack dice have to go through as many clouds as necessary and make them as mitigated as you need them to be. Plus all that regen. 2 die attacks with your regen, you can just get those back really easily. Any damage you take.
Will, what are you thinking? Are you thinking that maybe this is a little bit more 50-50?
I mean, I assume from this matchup, Marcel, this was chosen by the Chileans.
yeah, they picked it. We gave them options.
Okay.
They picked it.
I mean, I know what my opinions are and what we have for in the team. What is your opinion, Dion?
I'm gonna call it 50-50. Just because
Okay.
the number of arcs. If you have somebody playing 7 ships, they need to at least have an idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
The reality is that if they catch Marcel with the swarm, any of those ships in all 7 arcs on a turn, if Marcel you never know. Somebody pulls
Sure.
something about, you got a lot of tricks, but if they don't work.
I mean, Von Reg has faced off a whole resistance storm before, so it could happen.
Exactly. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call it 50-50. All right, I'm gonna call it 50-50. All right, let's move on.
I
Go
do
ahead.
Let me
got
know,
one
and I believed
question.
in Marcel.
I got one question for you, Marcel. We rate things by player, and then there's your captain's veto.
No, it's a complete list. I mean, you mean by player? Yeah. So basically, it's not a captain's veto. It says peer reviewed. So basically, the way that we do we do the matchups, or that we do whether we like it a matchup or not, is every player goes and rates their own. Like, I believe this is a good, bad, even. I think I get 50-50, whatever. But then whoever shows up during the weekend, like 2 or 3 of us, usually like 4, will review all of them and kind of veto it. It's like, and we'll be like, he says it's good. He's kind of smoking a little, so let's knock him back a few pegs. Or sometimes somebody's just afraid of something because they hate playing against it, but it's probably a good matchup. So he's like, nah.
Okay.
You don't want to play that, but you should.
That makes sense, because I thought the second column was captain's veto, and for some reason you had marked yourself one way and then captain's vetoed a different way. I was you got 2 different hats in this team.
So actually, I originally
player hat
put
and
bad.
captain hat.
Yeah, I'll say what I originally put bad for this matchup
Sure.
because I don't like 7 arcs. And then the other people that were on were like, nah, you should be fine.
All right. I was just
If
a little
there's anything I learned with
background.
the matchup I had against you, and we've literally played this before. Granted, I didn't. One of my FOs was Revis. The surprise one of theirs might be, who knows? But I did have Proud Tradition Malrus. You handled it pretty. I mean, there will be 1 or 2 scary turns, and then you can probably manage it from there.
All right, well let's keep it rolling here.
Sure.
Doug Howe bringing the Von Reg Kylo Ren duo combo mega bid here versus Resistance what?
This is 2 pods, 3 T70s. We have Rose and Finn, and then Heroic Red Bastion and Jessica Pava. So this reminds me of a showdown, if I'm not mistaken. What did your...
No, Nimi, you got it. Nimi is so good.
Was it Nimi instead of Red? Was that the... Or
It
no,
was
it was Nimi instead of...
Red, but there's enough points to where I don't think I can take Finn. I had to take Vi Marati, which I still think
that's
she's pretty good for
That's
the dial, for checking for blocks and basically putting that on someone like Von, right, so to say. I definitely understand Finn. I know the Reds with Heroic can still do work, but man, Nimi is so good.
Yeah, if she's got that focus token, Nimi, or they, I don't know, they have very good offensive striking power, or defensive for that matter, right? Works not both ways.
Yep.
Nice.
So, like, very similar matchup I had against Marcel, but slightly different tools there for the resistance list, and slightly different stuff, I think, because Doug has proton torpedo, not ion, and I think Von Reg doesn't have a missile. And I said it last week. I'll probably continue to say it throughout. I believe in Doug. Like, it's probably closer to like a 50-50 because there are 3 T-70 arcs pointing at stuff, but only 2 of them can be really well modded. And I don't know how often Bastion's really going to get that lock, because it's like, I feel like Doug will be able to maintain range control to not allow that range 1 to 2 with Bastion. And if he does allow that, it's probably kind of big mistake spot, but
Sure.
I believe in Doug to take the win in this one.
I'm leaning towards Doug as well, just because I know how patient he can be. And one of the problems with pods and X-Wings is if the X-Wings get a little excited and they start going faster than the pods, it can end up spread apart. And that's exactly what Doug wants. Spread the group out enough where I can start picking away. So I'm going to go ahead and vote Doug there as well. Next, we go William Hagewood. That's a cool guy. With Bosk, Fen Rao, and Kanan Jarrus in the Hawk versus a Rebel squad. What's going on there?
I'll take this one, Marcel, and get a couple of the next ones. So it is 2A, 2X, which is Hera with proton rockets, Ahsoka with clusters, Garvin Dreas, and Wedge Antilles. As a note, we're both at 200 for the 4s and 6s there.
Ooh.
So really the only sort of token passing is just from Hera. Like,
Hera and
well,
Garvin,
no,
yeah.
Ahsoka
And 2
does
tubes.
have.
He's got 2 tubes,
What?
doesn't he?
Juan Diablo Cavaglia?
I say Ahsoka
I
does
can't
have
read his
her
last
ability.
name.
Cluster missiles is an
Am I not
interesting
looking at the
choice,
right
though.
one?
No, you're right. It's just Kyle and Garvin.
There's no Kyle either.
What am I watching at?
What?
Oh, it's
we're on
Wedge,
Chile.
Ahsoka. Oh, what team am I looking at?
What
I'm not
team
sure.
are you looking at? Yeah,
I'm looking at what you're playing against.
Are you?
No, I'm talking about what Scum, you.
Oh,
are
you're
playing
looking at
against.
Scum. That.
No, I'm looking at their Rebel, your Scum. I am so confused.
Okay.
Anyways,
So there are 2 Rebel Scum matchups in this. Yes, your
Correct.
Matthew Carey is going up against their Scum,
Okay,
right.
but
this is
Neither
what
of-
William is going against.
yeah, but
Correct. Yeah,
Matthew
Chili
Carey,
Rebels.
doesn't he have 3 A-Wings and Janors anyway?
Yeah.
So there would be no Kyle in either one.
No, there's no Kyle. I was wrong. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, 2A, 2X. When you put it that way, it sounds really easy, right? Just 2A wings and 2 X wings.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
So Wedge can plink in more damage than a standard X-Wing, obviously, but Hera is going to be very choosy when she jumps in with the proton rocket. Ahsoka can help out. Cluster missiles is a very interesting choice. I'm not sure if I like that on Ahsoka that much.
She can take locks more than any other A wing.
Oh, sure. I just sounds like ran out of points if it's at 200, but I really like concussion missile or proton rocket on her with instinctive aim or something. But
Yeah, 1 point shy.
yeah, Kanan Jarrus is so good, and that boss reinforce is also pretty. This could be a 50-50, but Wedge X-Wing is a jousting ship, not Wedge A-Wing, and I feel like amongst all the firefight in the beginning, like you might lose half on Bosk and he just loses all of Wedge in the process.
I think one of the things you're both at 200. The dice roll. I think this
Yeah.
is going to be absolutely critical. If you win it and you're able to control not only the movement of Bosk, but also when the Greedo trigger happens, because those are potentially a bunch of ships, a lot of ships shooting before your Bosk trigger, and that could be bad news in the
Well, so
early
that's-
game.
Let me bounce that back to you. So you're assuming I would take initiative so Boss can shoot before Garvin, but then my Finn has to move before Hera and Wedge.
Yeah, you would
you're
want
right.
Fenn moving after.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
mean, already Bosk is he's got 3 ships both of the A-wings and the Wedge X-wing that's shooting before.
Ahsoka's a 5, right?
Yeah,
Ahsoka's a
Ahsoka's a 5.
Yeah, Garvin's the only 4. So
I know what you're saying, but I would. It's more for Finn.
It's Fenn. Yeah, it's Fenn. Okay.
You want Fenn to move later so that he could threaten Wedge or even Hera if you find an opportunity to pounce on her and he leaves her open.
All right.
Because if there's one good thing about stopping some of the rebel socialism of tokens, it's forcing Hera to spend her own token defensively as you shoot her.
All right. I mean, I'm feeling like what we're tiptoeing around is that this feels like a 50-50 matchup.
Probably.
Yeah, it might be decided on the dice roll, but
I don't think it's that hard. I think Fenn can live pretty well. Like, he's not too against sure, he might take a range one shot when someone's out of arc, but he's Fenn and has Concordia and a focus, so he's pretty safe most of the time. It's more of how much more you could put pressure on his I6s if you move last.
Yep.
Sure. Makes sense. All right, moving on to Matt Carey's. Marcel, as you've already looked this matchup over, it sounds like you want to read it out to us?
So, as a reminder, Matt Carey, 3 A-wings, Hera, Ahsoka, and Baby Wedge, with Jan Ors in the Hawk, pumping up those shots. and a wild Kayla in the background.
Yeah, she's watching some show. So, yeah, his opponent is playing Fen Rao with Fearless, Old Tarak with Fearless. Last week we played something similar with both of these guys, but this time it's it was both of these guys, and I think
it was Han
Solo coordinating at I6. This time they have Paylob, also Protector, whatever, Gleb, false transponder codes, thermal detonators, engine upgrade, and Moldy Crow. So he's got a stealing token, throwing out coordinates. So it's Matt's Rebels against this.
Who's got the bid right now?
The Scum player has the bid.
Yep.
That's looking rough. Because you got Old T. I mean, Old T will move before Hera, but Old T could just threaten by being in front of Hera to stop some token passing. And you got Paylob that just says, if you're in my arcs, like a range 1 to 2, I just take it. So. And Fenn gets to move after all the other ships. Even though it's 3 against 4, I think those 3 have a lot of tools to deal with Matt Carey's list right now.
I'm in that same boat. I'm just gonna go ahead and call it for Scum.
Matt, Matt, prove us wrong though. Give us another. Give us another like big wins, 1 loss max.
That's right. Just pull a Carson, like the chat said.
Just don't look at Old T and kill Paylob. No big deal.
Unironically, kill Paylob as fast as possible.
All right.
Whatever that takes.
And then we move into a Separatist v Separatist match. Zam and the Vultures versus what?
I'll take this one. So it is 6 tech. Oh, you're gonna love this one. 6 Techno Union bombers with proximity mines, landing struts, and 2 of them with Discord missiles. So 6 Techno Union bombers.
What's the name of the player? Because I know that there is someone in South America. It might be Chile. It might be somewhere else that has consistently been running that squad for a long time.
Juan Pablo Gonzalez.
Does that sound familiar, Dion?
And I'll tell you, his Discord is JP Gonzalez. So.
I don't know. I don't know. But we've seen this on stream before. It is really good. It is really good. The biggest tool that I feel that Daniel has is the fact that he has Zam. And Zam can run away. right? Can run away and avoid the hyenas coming into range 1 and dropping death pizza.
Yeah, you also got to think though. He's got 5. So the thing is, he's also got 5 of his own little drones. I know they have less health, but they do tend to just in general play a little bit more defensive and have
So
just
curious.
have the what's his Daniel has the bid, so they're all I-1s. They're not getting popped. Daniel has a bid. He gets to choose move or token, and also typically the drones will have just more calculates because they're linked action is still calculate. It's not a link to a barrel roll.
Yep.
So they'll usually
So that
have
is
more.
a big deal in the initial exchange. I mean, even though he has the bid, I would want to go first. I want to take up the space. My vultures want to be where they want to be, and
Yeah.
I'm going to block your hyenas so you have very little to no tokens, assuming they stay in a general formation, and do as much damage on the first exchange as possible. And then the vultures kind of spread away, and Zam kind of starts picking at what she can and not opting into the pizza plate, because none of them are bombardment drones, right? None of them can drop it forward. They're all back. The only thing forward is the Discord missiles.
Yep.
Which, if a vulture takes a Discord missile, that's a Discord missile not on Zam.
Yep. give me. Beep boop, beep boop.
Right. It's also one less calculate for their attacks and defense too. Then,
Yep.
right? Like,
Which theoretically, if you're moving before the hyenas, you have solid chances to block a lot of those and not even get Discord missiles off.
yep. And they can't roll to get the Discord missile like a vulture could.
Yeah.
All right. I am.
I still think it's probably 50-50.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think having
agreeing.
that bid helps in being first player for the vultures.
We'll go ahead and write it up for 50-50 with a maybe a lean towards Daniel. We'll give him a little star in the corner there, just like we did Marcel here, little star. All right, and last but not least, Carson Ray, the hero of the Resistance himself, Poe, Lulo, and Zari, is it? Run me that third ship.
Lulo, Jess, and Rose.
Jess and
Rose, yeah.
Rose.
Yeah, it's-
Yes. All right. So, what is the Imperial list that Carson is playing against?
I got it. It's playing against Cristobal, and Cristobal is flying Vader with fire control system and afterburners. He's flying the Grand Inquisitor naked, and then he's got Echo with passive sensors, Fifth Brother, and Juke. And Carson has the bid.
Interesting. So Poe's moving after Vader.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, Carson's Poe does not have any munitions for weapon hardpoint, right?
Yeah, no munitions. He might have a jam in there. I don't know, but nothing of note. Well, I guess the jam does count, but
Jamming beam, so oddly.
But he's going to be
I-
moving second, though. Moving second, shooting
I
second.
mean, jamming beam against Echo is pretty funny. Be like, nah, don't decode.
Yeah, there are some weird corner cases the jamming beam might actually be useful, but
Maybe. But yeah, it's Lulo and that. And of course,
that means Lulo's
The,
also moving after Grand Inquisitor.
Lulo, yeah.
Super nice.
Does Echo have like a collision detector on it, or any
passive-
shenanigans?
passive
Advanced
sensors.
It's offensive Echo.
offensive Echo. Okay.
Yeah, Juke, passive, yeah.
Oh, Juke as well.
Juke,
Yeah,
passive,
it's
Fifth
a
Brother.
chunky.
That is a
chunky
very
Echo.
chunky Echo.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm starting to lean towards Carson. There's a lot of tools that I feel that Carson has just by having that bid, and with something like that's why I was asking about Echo, because if Echo has collision detector or has the more kind of like hard to track down upgrades, I feel like it's a lot more difficult to take care of that if someone knows how to fly that really well.
It also depends on if they're using Vader and Grand Inquisitor as a way to generate hard to pin down Echo, because if you go after Echo and you're even a little wrong, Vader and Grand Inquisitor are on an aggressive path. So it's kind of a choose situation if they set it up that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Echo's the one who can disengage and just cloak and just token up or whatever if need be. That's why a lot of people I think have been investing more in an Echo, because they realize that you can just fly away cloaked and it's not a big deal. So.
All right. Well, Ryan, let's go ahead and make a call. What are you feeling?
I'm leaning 50-50 actually.
What do you think, Will?
But
Okay, what's this butt? Where's the
Go
caveat?
ahead, give us the butt.
I would do the little star next to Carson Ray.
Oh, so 60-40 is what you're trying to say.
Probably, yeah.
10%.
55-45.
55. He gets the because of the bid. Is that what you're the deciding factor?
Well, so it's the fight of like, sure you have a bid, but Vader is such a better ship than Poe, right? So a lot of times that Vader can just outdo what Poe can do.
Yeah.
But it's also Carson Ray, right? Like we've seen what he's been able to do at the same time. So.
Right.
All right. So
I believe I'm in the same position. I believe in Carson Ray, but this is probably a 50-50. It depends on if I think it depends on Carson's jousting squad, his Jess and Rose, how much they can, if they're not shooting at these aces, like it's dead weight.
Yeah, that's a big factor. Like, and making sure Lulo, even though being able to move after Echo and Grand Inquisitor, doesn't get hunted down by Vader easily or picked on somewhere in the match.
So after all that, it looks like what we've said is we think we've got 2 wins nailed down, 1 loss, and 4 toss-ups. 2, 1, and 4. Well, we'll find out next week what happens. Since this is in Chile, I'm hoping that we can get quite a few of these games in the U.S. time zone this weekend, since we're stacked on top of each other. Most likely there'll be collaborations with some of the other South American squads, so looking forward to that. But look for the schedule on our Discord for when we will be streaming all that jazz. But good luck to Team USA. Right now, Team USA is 2-0 in the competition, and we will see what ends up happening here in another
commanding 2-0. Only 2 losses overall.
It's very true.
Yeah,
very true.
Nobody else has 2 wins, and we are 5 individual wins above Chile. Spain and Australia, who were supposed to be our competition in this group.
Well, William, before you throw too much shade at
Spain
had a bye first round.
Spain did have a bye week. So
Spain had a bye, and they came back with a 5-2 win over Australia. So they took what was supposed to be our competition and demolished it. So let's not talk about Spain yet. Let's see how a couple more weeks go.
Yeah, they have 5 wins in 1 week, which is fair. They're keeping up pace. But Australia, man, 0 wins so far. Because they faced off against Chile and Spain, which was Chile was like 5th. Chile was supposed to be better than Sweden, but we'll see. Sweden had the week off, going into week 3 with only 1 win. So Sweden trying to get back on the horse.
All right. Well, this has been really exciting. After we get through it's 7 rounds, right? After we get through those 7 rounds, probably because the U.S. bye week is week 7, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, it's after
5.
this week, I think.
No, it's after this week. We play Chile, then Spain, then a bye, then Malta, and finish with Australia.
Yeah,
all
which is
right.
gonna be great.
So you face the theoretical juggernaut in Spain and then get a week off.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. We have to go lick our wounds, and if we came out victorious, kind of patch ourselves up. If we came out on the other end, see who we.
I think our schedule's great because Malta has like almost identical lists to Australia. So it's going to be a great warm up, in my opinion. Would you say that, Marcel, that they have similar list? Not the same.
I would say that
but...
to you guys. I don't know if I would say that to Malta. Just get them to start licking their chops from now. Like, oh, you guys are just our warm up against the real.
No,
Yeah,
it's not a warm
straight
up.
up call one of the competition a warm up.
No, like, that's not what I meant at all. I meant that like it's because they're so close.
Those are the
related.
quiet parts.
What? No, we love
Giving them
Malta.
bulletin board material.
No, we want the competition. But Malta better be looking out. Bring your best.
That's right.
But also, yeah, we're also going to be mostly scouting for Australia. But maybe not. maybe Australia can't get any wins. I mean, you shouldn't be worried about them. So there's a lot of drama in Group D. That's what I'm saying
One
right
matchup
now.
at a time.
Well, let's play armchair analyst here. One of the realities could be, depending on what the standings are going into that last week, the matchup against Australia might not matter, right? Because the goal is to get into the cut. Is there any? And here's my question: is there any advantage to sweeping? If we sweep, besides bragging rights, is there any advantage in the seeding or anything like that?
No, because it's round robin, so it doesn't matter.
Right, it doesn't matter. So
Get into the round robin. So
here's what I would do. Okay, this is like my coach brain going on. If going into the last week we're like guaranteed in, you make sure that anybody who hasn't played yet, any of the, I would make sure that both of the backups play in that week. You make sure that they get games in. I would try to take hard matchups for everybody else who's playing just to get reps in. Like that becomes a matchup week for training rather than for just make sure that it has value outside of just, of course, the value of playing a game of X-Wing.
Well, to be fair, we would have to go undefeated up until then. And Australia would have to be so low that they couldn't.
They would have to not suck as much as they sucked the last 2 weeks. So if they get their stuff together,
dramatic comeback.
then it wouldn't matter. Yeah.
Well, I mean, not necessarily.
We'll
I'm saying like if we don't necessarily have to win out, because if things stay even, right? If everybody gets a couple losses here, and we're maybe sitting at like 5-1, right? If we're sitting at 5-1, 5-2 might be enough to get in, no matter how the math works out.
Oh, so, sure. Marcel, what are the tiebreakers again? It's most wins and then head-to-head?
No, and then individual wins. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Individual wins. But I think there's about a month. There's about 5 weeks between the last one, so I wouldn't worry about because our list will change anyway between this and the finals. And also Kenny and Tommy will be getting games in throughout. Like last week, it was Kenneth that played the the Goran Strikers was Kenny. Lions, it wasn't Steve.
Yeah, big shout out to
I
Kenny.
know Tommy's on the hook to play Von Reg, the Supernatural Kylo.
He's got some big shoes to fill with taking Doug's
Australia.
Man, reliable Doug.
Yeah. So he's gonna have to pull it off against Australia. We'll probably give him Makta Khan, all the tractor beams, and say, "All right, Tommy,
good luck.
You got this, man."
Anyway, and also, they'll be playing throughout. So yeah, we're all getting reps.
Alrighty. Well, let's get into our main topic here. I wanted to talk about, and I don't have like formal notes for this today, because it's more a discussion that I wanted to have with you guys, the chat, our X-Wing community. But we're getting to a point where there's a lot of stores opening up again to weekly play nights, tournaments are being planned, depending on the local area and all that. And the question is popping up again, which is important, is how do I build community? And one of the most common phrases I see are make sure that it's more casual. Now, I want to start by eliminating one road, just because that's not a road I don't want to explore today. I am not talking about the idea of fly casual, right? The attitude of making sure that you're positive in the game. That's not where we're going. That's not where we're going. I'm going to go, because that's too easy to talk about. I want to have the more gray area, ambiguous conversation, and that is when somebody gives this suggestion of, like, more casual play. I have seen the definition of casual play drastically change depending on the person. And because then the next question is, what list do you bring then? What list equals casual play? And then going from there. So I want to start the conversation by simply asking you, Will, we'll go ahead and start with you. I say, hey, let's play a casual game. What does that mean to you?
Casual game. To me, that means with no conversations of like, what do I want to say? Like a practice for something specific, right? Not practicing for anything. We're just meeting up at the local game store for a casual game. What that means to me is that I don't need to bring something meta or top tier necessarily. I reach more for something either that I have a whole list of ships that are back cataloged to where I just want to see them on the table, or I want to see them do well. But also things that I fly, like it would be, well, pretty standard for me is all named pilots, all different chassis, right? Typical salad. With like essentially minimal craziness, right? Like no tractors, no cloaking, no weird things like that, right? Not to like dumb down the game, but like I just want, I don't want to stop halfway through and have an argument about, I'm dropping a bomb before you decloak or blah, 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 like things like that, right? So it is pretty much just like point and shoot, or what do I call it? Move and shoot X-Wing, where you get a lot of those triggers out of there. We're flying more. Not necessarily simplified, but for me personally, that means simplified. Like I'm talking like 1 or 2 upgrades, because I don't want to use my mental power in a casual game if we're trying to have fun, right? I'm not trying to remember all the upgrades on my Havoc. But then at the same time, for me, casual games is we're trying to learn. We're trying to learn the game, learn the ships, get more familiar with them, which means mistakes can and will happen. And it's whatever situation, or the thought process, I would say, is that we're both trying to learn and have fun. I can do examples all day, but essentially excusing obvious errors, or even something that was, well, I guess errors. I don't know how to describe it more than that, right? Something that's like too obvious, right? Or like, right. Like we both lined up for a joust, right? And right before the joust, you thought the 2 bank would get over the rock. It didn't. It landed right on the rock, and I would. In a casual game, casual here, where we're trying to have fun, I'd be like, all right, we haven't even engaged yet. Just do the 3, because it'll clear the rock or whatever, right? Because if that ship landed on that rock and my whole list shoots at it, the game's not going to be very fun for my opponent. So, that's very specific, right? But I kind of use it as an example of ensuring that the game is fun and that we are both learning while doing so, right? And that affects, like I said, it affects well, as you said, like what list you're bringing, and really your attitude towards your opponent.
Now, as we continue to explore here, let me explain why I'm going to have everybody kind of go through their definition. Is for myself personally, I learn the best when I hear different people's perspective, because sometimes it's just a couple of things that can completely change a mindset. When there is just you take a moment. This is us living in the other person's shoes. Ryan, when I say let's play a casual game, what does that mean to you?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would say, hey, what kind of game do you want to play? Do we want to have any special missions? Do we want to make up any cool objectives? Do we want to like if you're asking me for a casual game as someone who's more experienced, I would immediately go back like, what do you plan on flying? Because whatever faction you'll bring, I'll bring the thematic faction that's supposed to fight. Like whatever. I want to make it as authentic of a Star Wars experience as I can, I guess. I might not go full theme squad, but I'll definitely err on the side of like, I'm going to pick ships and stuff I haven't flown in ever. Like, I'm pretty sure the second edition ships I haven't flown since the second edition has come out, and I can find some to use. I'd want to see, is this a setup where they want to try something out, whether it's a different format or style of play, and see if we can build on it. Do they want this to be something that is that they build upon as like a story aspect, right? Do they want to, do we want some type of escalation where like, oh yeah, we're going to start with the small battle, but like because we might be playing games throughout the whole night, but one game is going to cover the whole night. So like maybe we start with a small force and we get bigger and bigger, and there's a big battle at the end of it, right? Climactic theme for fun. A lot of things that Will had said, the learning aspect, because I've actually had a friend that I've known for many years. Like we go back to when Halo 2 was on Xbox One,
Nice.
Xbox Live, when it was first a thing. So he was like, hey, I work at an LGS down in Ohio. I've seen X-Wing. I like Star Wars. He asked me to start playing on TTS, and same thing. I'm like, what do you want to enjoy playing? He's like, I like these factions, this factions, and whenever he plays the faction, I'm like, I immediately go, all right, I'm gonna do the other faction that's supposed to face him. And like, what do you like in that squad? What do you want to see when I play against you? Like, it's a lot of geared towards what do they want, because I've had so much time and experience that I don't really care what I play. I want to make it as fun, engaging, and for them, if they want to learn, as much knowledge as possible. And like Will said, not make it as confusing. I will try and limit the amount of upgrades, so there's not like, hey, this card does this thing, so this does this thing, and then this does that thing, and their opponents across tables sitting like, wait, what was the first one? Like, I don't know. So yeah, it's a lot of the theming and making it feel as much like Star Wars as possible, because that's what a lot of people have like went on the game for. If this game didn't say X-Wing or Star Wars on it, I probably wouldn't have gotten into it.
Very true. Now, to clarify a question in the chat, I am purposely not giving a scope on whether this is new players or not. We're simply defining the mindset of casual play. Go ahead, Marcel.
I haven't dropped yet, so it's an improvement. So that's
You said it now. Somebody knock on wood.
Though. Yeah.
I don't have any wood. I'm surrounded by metal everywhere. I mean, I think the first thing is to consider is like the outcome doesn't matter, especially for people who play competitive not almost exclusively. About 80 to 90% of the games are in some type of either league or something where that's probably where I would go. Like, a casual game is the outcome doesn't matter. So just by saying the outcome doesn't matter, that means I can fly anything I want. I can, I can go and remember Asajj and, the jump masters, and like, hey, I own 7 jump masters. What happens if I put as many as I can on the table and do that kind of stuff? So that would be the first, I think, thing that comes to the mind is the outcome doesn't matter. But then the next thing, actually, I would say that's the outcome doesn't matter. Another one that outcome doesn't matter is like training for something, because you're just training to learn.
Mm-hmm.
You're practicing to learn. So the outcome doesn't matter, but the process does. So I guess the game matters because you're learning something in the process, regardless of how it ends. Win or lose doesn't matter. So I would say those are not casual. I don't think that would be considered casual. Even if someone on one side doesn't care, the person who's practicing is there to learn. So yeah, I would say the game itself doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't have any implication on the outcome of anything. It matters just for fun, and then the outcome doesn't matter. It's just for fun. You'll learn stuff and you'll get better, maybe, but maybe you won't, and it won't matter.
Okay, so now I'm going to start kind of shaping our conversation just a little bit more. So the reason I wanted to start by defining it is when we throw out this, just the phrase casual play, even though there was some common threads between all three of your definitions, you guys didn't say the exact same thing. There were different branches going off. I think the most common thing between it is the fact is that the outcome doesn't matter. I think that's probably the most the most common thread between all three of them. But now I want to start kind of, like I said, getting more into the nitty-gritty, because I've been thinking a lot about, Marcel, our specific play group, okay? Our specific play group. And, you know, we call them casual nights or league nights, right? But those two definitions for the same day are counter to each other. Because when we're doing a league, it's competitive, right? Like we are competing against each other. We're having fun, and what can give it the casual feel is more the attitude, right? This is where the road that I have blocked off right now, the fly casual road. Yes, there. But this is where I want to start clarifying a little bit, and I want to start talking about the new player, or attracting people that haven't played X-Wing to the game, or keeping people who don't care about competitive play. And this, again, I don't have any perfect answers here, but I think it's important to set expectations correctly going into it, so that when somebody communicates to you, I want to play a casual game, that you ask more questions. Because let me tell you, in our chat, we're talking about casual play. I've seen two extremes. I saw somebody say play really simple lists, and then somebody say play jank. And jank usually means a million upgrades, right? That do something really weird that normally wouldn't be competitive, but you're trying to get the machine to trigger. So because this completely opposite definitions of what casual play can appear, I think it's important to have more conversations than just call it casual play. I think you have to have a more defined plan. I think that possibly, and especially, you know, in our local group, we're talking about coming back, and we're excited to play against, you know, play with each other again. But one of the things that's just in the back of my mind is, how are we going to get people to play this game again? Because in reality, our store, we definitely have people who are willing to play, you know, not meta lists. But you know, if we fast forward, you know, a year, you know, pandemic aside, everything's good, and it's just a normal Gold Squadron league, it's competitive. That's just the reality of it. So how do we create the space that is safe for new players? How do we do that? Is it, you know, not necessarily to say the word require, you know, throws up a bunch of red flags for people, but you know, it's just, I again, no answers here. This is me just kind of giving you string of consciousness. What are your guys' thoughts on here? Trying to now combine this idea with casual night and trying to bring in new players. Like, how do we do this?
Got a lot of crickets here.
I know, because this is a dilemma. That's why, right? Like, I wanted to bring this up because I know that we didn't have the answers. Like, it's just trying to pull this out. And Crazy Vulcan, I think, hit on something here really quickly, is that even if you come to an agreement against, let's say us, okay, let's say you three, we're trying to play a league together, us four. We're going to go to the game store together, and we say, or you guys say, all right, we're going to bring no meta lists, all that. It's going to be really toned down. Move and shoot X-Wing. Keep it simple, because we know that Frank, Jill, and Tommy are coming, and they're pretty new to X-Wing. And then Dion comes in and says, yeah, but I'm practicing for this tournament, and I'm going to bring Jango Zam, and you can't do anything about it. It's a weird thing.
So I think the first hurdle to get over is the baseline we talked about, right? If you're making a casual night, you have to make the results of baseline winning and losing matter less. Because a thought that I had on the theme aspect, right? If you're trying to build over a night, or maybe over, if it's like league-ish, just for the sake of multiple nights, say a month-long thing, right? Dark side versus light side. But it's less about just getting prizes for wins, but it's more about, like, say you start with a somewhat restricted list building for all factions, right? Mm-hmm. As one faction or one light side or dark side starts to get more wins, the other side now gets more things unlocked for them, starting to, like, re-even the scales. Ideally meant to keep everything as even-keeled as possible. So even though one side is winning, the other side is getting access to more stuff as the night or the weeks go on. So you're not gaining prizes, you're just winning to win in this little fat battle of sides of the ever light side and dark side of Star Wars. But you're also trying to keep it as even as possible if you're trying to represent that side. And let's say one night or throughout multiple nights, 75% of the field brings dark side and 25% brings light side. Maybe you have something built into it that said, well, for each win that the light side gets, it's proportionally more worth it because there's less of those people there. And however it works, right? Trying to lessen gaining prizes and store credit, and more about just trying to keep it as even of a playing field in that sense of theoretical format. But it's getting over the hump of, like, making it about winning or losing overall, even though that what I just mentioned is sort of dictated by the win and loss, but you're not gaining anything by winning.
That's definitely a cool way to go about it. I am searching mentally for different alternatives than what we've done in the past to give players a safer place. Now, I think Buffaluffagus, he's one of the players out of Indiana, brought up something that I think is probably the most important, and that is, even before the game, the people is what matters the most. Because if you are fun to hang out with, you're more likely to stick around, right? People are more likely to stay. And it is a balancing act that we have to play this community build. If your goal is community building, right? If you're that person, I know we have plenty of people out there who are the community builder in their group. And I want to continue having these conversations, have ideas. Now here's something that, to stay on theme. Maybe you do something like, you can have your normal, we'll call it normal league, right, on, like, the even and odds days of the week, or alternating. This week is 206 normal, and next week is our alternative day. Like, you still play a game of X-Wing, but you're doing a narrative, maybe. Maybe it's, there's ways to play the game and try to shape something, especially if you got people who are into RPGs. It could be a really fun way to build something. I will tell you right now, one of the secret sauce things that I'm working on right now is a community narrative, okay? and it is a beta test to see if this is something that people would want to do continuously. You know, we did our RPG in person, Will, and it inspired me. I was like, I think this could be something really cool because there's something to the storytelling. It's to storytelling that people latch onto, because that's why we like Star Wars, right? Because it's just cool stories. Space wizards and spaceships. That sounds awesome. Let's do that. And I know that some people might be thinking that we're taking the very simple question and taking it to the extreme, but I think it's important to look at this from different angles to see if we can find different alternatives than what we've been doing in the past. And this is not even, and we're not going to tackle this today, but this is not even tackling another issue that we have, and that is making sure to be as inclusive as possible. You know, we don't have a lot of women that play our game, right? That's just wargaming in general. It's just not common in the culture. Being fully inclusive of people of all nationalities, race, sexual orientation, all of that. Like that, we're not even tackling that right now. We're just talking about what is casual, and what all I really want to come out of this talk that we're having today is just that you assess, think, have an idea, try something. The worst that can happen is that nothing happens, right? I will. You've been kind of quiet. What are your thoughts here as I've been rambling?
Actually, I liked your what you were saying about a narrative play, and what Ryan was saying about kind of building a format and getting into that kind of more thematic mindset. And I think that's something that X-Wing can have even in a death match. Here's the example, okay? I go to a lot of game stores. I got nothing against people who play Magic, but I'm over here, I'm rolling dice and I'm like, come on, Dutch, all I need is just, paint on this reroll. And I'm like, oh, we got it, big success or whatever. And we're like, oh, I can't believe I blanked out, right? And we're, the players at the table, when they can be excited and, vocal and kind of building this narrative of like, every time I have like colored generics, I'm like Pink's the MVP. He's just been nattying out of everything, right? You're gonna be promoted out of cadet someday, Pink. Things like that, right? I'm like talking to my ships and having fun. But then I look over at Magic players. I'm not just singling them out because they're the most common. And the Magic players, they're in that competitive mindset. They got their cards silent, right? The only words they're communicating are necessary things to their opponent, right? And I've seen people in X-Wing do this, where, no small talk, just like, here's my list. Oh, you saw it? Cool. And then no side chat, no excitement of just being like, yeah, I rolled natural 3. Oh, yeah, I killed the ship? Okay, cool. I'm up on points now. That kind of that level of monotone, just playing to win essentially. But I think that turns off a lot of players who are looking for a fun way to interact with people, right? So if they see a bunch of people, quietly staring at their dials or getting upset when their ship blanks out, it just doesn't have the same effect for a player who can then be like, well, this really isn't as much fun as me just playing with my friends at my house. I can just invite some people over for some card games or whatever, and I'd be having more fun than coming out to the local game store. So I think that it's something that I don't think a lot of us do, and if we do it, it's subconscious, right? You don't think about trying to project a fun atmosphere and to not only your opponent, right, but I guess to everybody else around you. And that's, like I said, it's something that it's hard to notice, but once you start looking around, I've been to a lot of tournaments where it's just dead silent, right? Everyone's in their dial phase or whatever, right? But on a league night, on a casual night, I'm thinking about all those streams, Dion, from Pastimes, right? You got Al and Nate just cracking jokes, having fun in the background. And that can really draw people into the game as well. You know, just someone would be like, well, I just came to pick up a comic book, but like those 4 dudes are going nuts over there about dice and spaceships. Like I have to know. Like it can actually draw people into the game by being, you know, like legitimately showing that you're having fun and getting it fun for your opponent too.
Love it. Love it. Any other thoughts? I know that this is hard to talk about. I get it. I know it's hard to talk about. And the biggest reason why I wanted to bring this up is like I said, things are opening up and we are going to be in a stage of rebuilding a lot of our communities. There are people who will, you know, your tried and trues, you know, your hardcore players will probably still show up when the store opens again, right? You're going to have some people on the edge who might come out, not necessarily because, you know, who might not come out because not a medical reason, but they might just not be as excited about the game. You know, that you got your fringe people, the ones who would show up maybe once a month, once every other month. They kind of show up once in a while, but they're not there all the time. We, as a community, we've been able to stay active with a lot of people playing on TTS and all that, but what I don't want is us to be satisfied. And I think that's what I'm worried about, because it's very easy when you see a 140 person tournament on GSP. Oh, this is awesome. Look at all these people who are playing X-Wing. I'm watching. There's 600 people watching. And those numbers, they sound really strong. They sound really good. But when you stop, there's this phrase that I came across in a somebody was talking to me about business, but it was like, when you're not growing, you're dying. Right? And I want to see things continue to grow in our community. Find solutions, be creative, and if something isn't working in your community, try something different, because something is likely better than doing nothing and letting it just go away. Especially if you're in a community that doesn't have a ton of people. Make sure you're communicating. And for some of us who are more introvert, right? It might be time to take the risk and talk to somebody out there. Because I will tell you, we've gotten a couple of players just by they kind of walk by, they're looking, and you just turn and you say, hi. Right? And there's this surprise, they have a moment of panic sometimes. They look at you and they talk to me. Like, they don't know who you are, right? It's not like, oh, it's Zion from GSP. I'm just a dude saying hi, right? Hey, how's it going? And then all of a sudden we get into a conversation. What is this game? Oh, we're playing X-Wing, Star Wars, and I noticed there's an X-Wing on the table, and that can open up things really quickly. Just be able to communicate with people, try different things, guys. And I would love to hear your guys' ideas and what you actually try to implement, because a lot of us, right now we're in the theory crafting stage, but I want to see what actually works. I really do. Any other thoughts?
It is always helpful, even if it's just as simple as a poll. Pulse check your own community, right? Whether it's online through like Facebook polls, whether it's like directly at the store, have them keep like a simple piece of paper and a tally. And anyone who comes in that buys X-Wing or Star Wars based products, ask the store if they could just put this piece of paper in front of them and say, what would you like to play and when? Simple.
Yep. And there's a lot of exciting Star Wars content coming with the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, all this stuff. And what I have noticed pre-COVID is the trends for X-Wing they flow with the popularity of Star Wars. It's just a reality. The biggest boom of players I ever saw is when The Force Awakens came out. It was a massive boom. Yes, Ryan was part of that group, right? Like,
At me.
right. And I would say I think we mentioned it a couple weeks ago. There's some marketing work to be done by AMG and Asmodee when it comes to that, because not only were people hyped about Star Wars, right? But they ended up, all these offshoots ended up being created because they made their product available to a more general base just by having it at Target, right? There are guys who I know who like collect a lot of the action figures, and they're looking and they're saying, hey, there's this new game. I'm gonna pick up one. Why? Because it's Star Wars. You get them to open the box, take a look, and you never know. You got to throw some dart to the dartboard and see what happens. I don't think they should sell expansions at Target, but the starter sets at least. Something like that. All right. That's our podcast for today, guys. That is it. I know a little bit of a weird episode. Us just kind of theory crafting. We're not bringing you a finite idea. What is right? What is wrong? We just want to start a conversation, and we're going to continue the conversation in our Discord. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let's have some fun, play some games. We will see you Wednesday night. Go Team USA. Do you have any final shout outs before we call it for the night and I go work on my graduate thesis? Take it, Will.
Ooh, just I think I did it earlier, but shout out to Kenneth Lyon, our subbing in, big pressure moment, coming in, flying a very specific Empire list, and got the W. That's huge. That's what we need our subs to do, and I'm hoping to see some good work out of Tommy and Ken from now on. So we're rooting for you. Glad you're able to pull it off, man.
Ryan?
Shout out to all of the other people who've jumped in from the community, whether I'm just being aware of them during COVID if they were active before, but everyone who's jumped in to stream all these XTC games and sharing those streams along with everyone to make sure that there are opportunities to see all these games from around the world. Make sure you help support the other platforms and everyone who is trying to be a part of building a community within themselves and sharing all these games online with everyone. So support the other creators as well and streamers.
Marcel.
Yeah, I think last week I shouted out Filippo and the organizers, all that. I think that was a really good shout out by Ryan. So I'm just gonna kind of ditto his. It's been pretty awesome. And if you don't know, go to, I believe it's called the XTC 2021.space.
No, it's just the XTC.space. That's it.
Gotcha. Okay, just go to the XTC.space. And then on the navigation, go to videos and then streamers. And it'll give you a list of about 20 streamers, everything from Gold Squadron and some of the other larger channels, Exiled Gaming and so forth, to some of the channels that you never knew existed. Definitely my sub count went from like a couple handful to more than a handful. And you don't have to drop a sub. You can just go there, open and hit the follow. The follow is helpful too. So just and it's helpful to you as well, because now when I turn on my Twitch, I'm like, oh, there's 2 or 3 different games, and most of the time they'll be in English, sometimes it's in other channels. And then also they're just entertaining. Like I mentioned last week that Chile. Well, actually, we're playing Chile now. I wonder if we're gonna get streamed by some of theirs. Hopefully, we make them cry instead of say "lo mató" the other way around, because we killed them. But
Me mataste! Ah!
that sounds like the end of a Carson game, most likely, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But yeah, just dittoing Ryan's. Go to the website, click on all those. They're not all Twitch. They're Twitch and YouTube and different channels, and you'll be surprised. Like me, one of my favorites has been Treino Maldoso. You probably can't listen to them on most days because they're usually in Portuguese, but in the XTC they're doing English. just really good production value. They got the intro like room like Sports Center thing going on, and then some of the other channels from you can tell some people that just started streaming because they're not keeping like a steady camera. They're like they're moving it around as if they're just seeing the camera by themselves. It's like, well, I'm getting vertigo here, but no, it's been fun. So
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead. We've been doing, we did a couple of collaborations on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to bringing more creators with us for XTC games and future galaxies and all that. So, yeah, but tons of creators out there. Shout out to them, and I'll be reaching out to more for more community team-ups. So that's it for the night. Thank you so much for hanging out. Remember, get your tickets for the Lamu Galactic Championship qualifier. It is a hyperspace event happening in the next couple weeks in June, so excited about that. It is happening during the Buenos Aires time zone, and yeah, get your tickets and let's play some X-Wing. Hopefully you enjoy everything here at Gold Squadron. Remember, continue the conversation in our Discord, !Discord if you're watching on Twitch, or just click the link in the YouTube description down below. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay smart, stay safe. Gold Squadron out.